Hello, marry me. So lately I discussed the topic with some friends of mine who are into role-playing games, and we discussed making role-playing session into a ritual of magic. And I thought that would be a good topic for a video. Now, really, what we're talking about here isn't really that role-playing is special in any way with its ability to being made into a ritual, because really you can make everything into magic. What the main ingredient of magic, if you will, is um, intent. It's the intent to cause change. Now, the various magical models have different ideas of how this is then done. In the spirit model, the intent will then call out to spirits who will carry out your intent for you. In the energy model, you channel energies with your intent toward the goal, and so on and so forth. So, for example, you could easily make brushing your teeth a ritual for cleansing, or let's say you draw symbols on your piece of toast and use that to take in more positivity in your life, and so on and so forth. Role-playing do, however, have some quite interesting possibilities. So now, of course, role-playing can be used for things like evocation and those kinds of things, but I will not address those in this video because they become more of an advanced topic, and I want to address something quick and easy so that anybody who wants to can get into this. Also, I do think that if you're going to do evocation, you need to have a lot of understanding and the ability to protect yourself, because while it can be a very powerful, very useful practice, it can also be a dangerous one. So let's get started. One important thing if you're going to make a role-playing session into a ritual is that everybody involved are on board with it. You have to then, it doesn't mean you can't have fun with it, that it can't be a regular session, but everybody involved have to know that this is what you are going to do, so that you can all work together toward a common intent. So let's say you have a friend who has broken his leg, and you want to do a ritual to try to heal him. Then you will work with themes within your role-playing session that has to do with healing. So, for example, there can be a lot of healed relationships between the various characters. It can be that, let's say you have a king and he is very ill, and so your characters in, let's say, Dungeons and Dragons are hired to go and find a magical potion that will cure him. But to cure the king, you have to fight an evil wizard. And you might then want to name this main boss, if you want to call it that, after the illness you're trying to cure. So, let's say a broken leg, you can call him Lagus, something like that. I know it sounds very dark, it was just what I could pull out of my mind right at the moment. And you might want to name the nation he is found in, or the mountain, or the castle, whatever, after your friend. So if your friend is named Chris, you might want to say that to find this potion to heal the king, you have to go to the castle of Prisum to fight the evil wizard Lagus. This, of course, then becomes symbols for your friend and his broken leg. And then adding that intent that this is meant to be a ritual to to basically send that healing intent towards your friend, it can be extremely powerful. Now, I have one friend who is worried that this can happen spontaneously because I've had some experiences with playing role-playing games and then things that can be associated with the game has happened in real life. And yes, magic can happen spontaneously like that. However, usually intent is needed. But if you're having a problem with it, I would recommend that before you do something that could involve a lot of emotion, that could basically trigger something, that you clearly state that this is not intended to cause a change. So that you sort of clearly define for yourself and your psyche that this is not meant to do anything, just like you will usually start a ritual by declaring intent. Now, another method that you can use that is very useful when it comes to using role playing in real magic is to use it to discover yourself or to, for example, develop some sort of skill or trait that you want. For example, you want more confidence. You can make a character that is modeled very much on yourself, fitted within the setting. Of course, if you're playing Vampire the Masquerade, of course the character will be a vampire, but still as modeled on yourself as it could possibly be. And one of the elements of the story might be that that character seeks out and attains greater confidence. By doing that with intent, it can be a great way to use it to do magic. Now, like with any other rituals, even when you take mundane things, like for example a role-playing session, and make it into a magical ritual, it is important to protect yourself. Now, I do not personally use a circle every time I do magic. I'm much more, I need magic quick and easy now. But it is important to basically do regular cleansings and protections, and to end the session properly, declaring that it is the end of the ritual. And yeah. So another question I sometimes get about this is, well, if you do a ritual session, if you want to call it like that, what about other things that happens in the session? Are you in danger of cursing someone if you kill someone in the game and so on and so forth? I would say no, because you declare intent. You start the game with a focus that we are making this entertaining act into a ritual to do X. And as such, that is what the energy build up. And a role playing session can definitely have a lot of energy build up because it can be quite exciting, it can be emotional, it can be all of those things. That energy build up is directed toward this goal. However, like I said, again, when I do regular rituals, I usually end them with saying that if it causes no harm, and so on, something like that, just to sort of deflect any chance that stray energies, if you will cause a problem, and also to make sure that when the intent is attained, it is attained in a good way, because magic doesn't have amorality. Magic, just like electricity, will go for the path of least resistance. And I have burned myself with this once in the past, where I did a ritual because I really wanted to have a dog. I still really want to have a dog. I've grown up with dogs. I love animals. I would fill my house with them if I could. But anyway, so I had two cats at the time, Maud and Leo. And really, living in a pretty small apartment, it was somewhat difficult to bring another pet into it. What happened is that shortly after I did the ritual, Leo ran off and we have never found him again. And I'm pretty sure it was because of the ritual. Because I wanted to have a dog, I did the ritual to be able to have a dog, and suddenly I was able to have a dog. Now I didn't get a dog then because I was so distraught, and also because I was thinking it wouldn't be right to Leo to exploit that opportunity, but yes. You can see how this can be a problem. It's the same thing that if you do a ritual to attain money and suddenly your uncle dies. Because magic will follow the path of least resistance. Now, if you do more advanced practices, there are quite a few of those where you direct things a lot more, and such precautions might not be necessary. However, if you are somewhat of a beginner, or somewhat of an advanced practitioner for that matter, I do really recommend that with any magical working like this, you add assurance, sort of, that you want the effect to manifest without it doing harm. And you should still do those things, even if you mix a mundane act and make it into a ritual. So, yeah, other than that, just have fun like you would in a normal role-playing session. It's just that instead of all that energy just swirling about, direct it toward a goal. Now, one more thing that should be discussed within this is the concept of symbolisms within role-playing games and how you can use that. Any GM knows that there's a lot of symbology that can be used to better a story, like the symbolism of numbers and so on and so forth, to create atmospheres and so on within the game. These symbolisms can of course then also be used to affect other things with magic. So that, for example, you can add symbols that has to do with attaining wealth, if that's what the working is. You can attain protective symbols if that's what the working is for. Basically, being conscious of what symbolism you use within the game setting can allow you to use this as a method of accepting those symbols' energies into your lives. Now, like I said in the beginning, it's very important when you do make a role-playing session into a magical session that anybody involved are on board with it. And I want to repeat that here because I think that's important ethical thing as well. People should not be forced into a magical working. First of all, it's less likely to actually work if not everybody has the intent to make it magic. However, it's also important to know that not everybody wants to do a magical working for whatever reason, and they should not be tricked into it or in somehow made to do it without their consent. So always, if you're going to do something like that, do it with a full knowledge and acceptance of everybody involved. So yeah. Now, if you want to get more into role-playing from an occult perspective, I do recommend checking out the game Nephilim. It is a very interesting game. and it has very much of an occult theme, and it really gives you some hints, guides for how to make basically role-playing into a ritual. Even if, of course, the main focus of Nephilim is to be a role-playing game like any other. I can also recommend a role-playing game called The Everlasting, which incorporates concepts of tarot into role-playing and can actually be used as a very good tool to learn more about the tarot, uh, both how to read with it and how to use it for spiritual development. So I really recommend looking into those two games if you're interested in making role-playing an occult ritual. So yeah, that is just a short little video about the topic. I hope you have enjoyed it. Have a great day. Blessed be.